Hello everyone and welcome to Dwellers in the Dark. Right, so basically I've been to Nova and myself, Dan and Sam Jeffries, we did a seminar. Now their seminar was list building, and I'm sure they may do a video on this themselves. Mine was on how to become a top 10 player. So we got into the seminar room, myself and Sam, earlier in the day, and it was, how are we going to run this? It was like a lecture room. We spent a fair bit of time trying to sort out the bits and pieces on how to get the projector and how to get things working, and we got it all sorted. So got in and started doing, Sam and Dan started doing theirs. And as time was going on, I was getting a little bit more nervous and more nervous and more nervous, and standing up in front of a group of 99% complete strangers, but who had been there to watch our seminar, so it was kind of cool. Anyway, my seminar started. I'll try and put up the slides as I talk through them, and I'll go through everything. So, the first slide was how to become a top 10 player. And there's a picture there of a Gondor force, and it's not my GT force, but it's a force that I put forward in a photograph, indicated that it was similar to the GT in a sense, and indicated then my experience as a top 10 player. So, you know, where I positioned 2015, my accolades through this year, the GT, and now winning Deadliest Hero, etc. So, Sam had used this line, and I re-mentioned that a single hobbit can kill Sauron. Now, this is the beauty of our game. The rules are simple, but tactically immense. It's just such a great game that you can develop so much from it and within it, but yet it's so easy to teach people how to play the game. A new person into the game, you know, you move a certain number of inches, you roll a dice. For shooting, you basically take a model off, or you don't take a model off, etc. You get into hand combat, you roll a dice, they roll a dice, the highest dice roller wins, and there you go. But why are some people great at this game? Well, training. Training is the most important thing in anything. For instance, tennis players don't just pick up a racket day one and win all tournaments. The NFL players train, boxers train, downhill Olympic skiers train. Sometimes they train just to stand up, sometimes they train how to get up after they've fallen. Agreed. Some have a natural aptitude, but all train. Hobbit players train. They practice. They go through lists. They look at old bat reps, whatever it's YouTube, etc., or even White Dwarfs, etc. They ask advice from friends and forums. They say, well, what can we do with this? And in reflection to Dan and Sam's seminar, they talk about list building, and they talk about most powerful models, and, you know, they find out more and more about their models and themselves. And then they mentally work out how powerful their armies are, and imagine standing on the podium with trophy in hand. Right, we all dream. Top 10 players dream. They dream of their opponent always rolling ones. They dream of having the best dice. They dream about, maneuvers and maneuvers within maneuvers, etc. So we all kind of like dream about these things, but in the process we're training ourselves. Okay, so my guide to training. Firstly, know the rules. This is very, very important. If you don't know the rules of a game, you're not going to be able to play the game. If you have the basic foundation concepts of the game, you can play the game. You can potentially win the game. That was illustrated by my second place award at Desolation Stockport 2014, I believe. Where I had only played the game once before on a Friday, and then on the Saturday, Sunday came second out of 60 people in the GPHL league. So that was fantastic. But my knowledge of the rules was very, very limited, but I had a core understanding. You move, you shoot, you combat, you roll for priority again. Very, very similar to other games that I played. Slightly the distinct differences, but, you know, it was understandable, the concept of tabletop gaming. So, know the rules. If you know the rules of an army, you can then see the synergies. If you know the rules of your opponent, you can see the strengths and their weaknesses, and you can play to that. By knowing the rules of the game, you know how scenery is going to affect things, how different phases are going to affect things, what you need to call in the phase. For instance, if you're going to want to do a channeling of a spell, you need to call that channeling at the very start of the movement phase before any models have moved. The same goes for shooting, etc. So, you know, these are all very, very important. Knowledge of when you can do things and when you can't. Know your army. Now, knowing your army is very, very important. If you have a Gondor force and you wish to see how synergy works, for instance, Osgiliath veterans with Boromir or Faramir can actually be a game winner, game changer, if you're aware of them. But if you're not aware of them, you may move Faramir or Boromir outside of the control zoned area of the Osgiliaths, where they benefit from a higher fight, and so you lose that. And just that's simple little things. That's just a basic example. But if you know your army, you know what your army is capable of, what they're not. Okay. Love your army. Me and dwarves, we have this understanding. I don't play dwarves, they don't play me. I lose my knowledge of dwarves because I don't know my army in this respect, because I don't love dwarves. Isengard, Ringwraiths in Mordor, even Angmar, definitely Gondor minus Thirith specifically. I love those. I love the idea of them, and hence my enthusiasm to research more and more about them, and the rules that are associated with them come to the front. But have no favourite within. Now that's basically, don't model your army around one character and have that character as your general, because you will inevitably come or fall foul to overprotection or overextension. For instance, Dane on a boar. What a fantastic model. It is a beautiful model. It has fantastic rules associated with it as well. Awesome. What can I say? You buy it, you paint it up, you love the model, you create your army around the model, you put it on a tournament table, and immediately you go, I've got to protect Dane. He's my general. If I lose him, I lose everyone. So your whole game dynamic changes. You suddenly become a tortoise shell around a single vulnerable model. Vulnerable, most definitely, because you're mentally trying to make sure he doesn't die. Now you're suddenly losing all his skills, all his abilities, all the reasoning he's there on the table in the first place, which is to go out and smash. So you have a different approach. You put him out forefront. You charge forward like a raging lunatic. He smashes, he crashes, he destroys everything in his path. Oh no! A single goblin takes him from his boar and kills him. You've lost your best model. You have no idea how to play this model because you have created him into being your favourite model. And therefore he becomes your weakness. Have Gimli as your general, and have Dane as your, Dane on a boar, as your grenade model. Still love the model, still understand what he does, but create your general and have all your points invested in that rather than in this other model. For instance, in my Gondor army, I have Denethor. Denethor is a very, very cheap general. Denethor is very expendable. I will lose Denethor generally 6 out of 10 games, and he will give away general VPs. But whilst he's doing it, Faramir is like a grenade. He's out there. He's taking risks that I wouldn't put my general in. And I don't mind if I lose him, because he is an acceptable model to lose, because he's not going to give away general VPs, but yet he's going to be able to exasperate all his potential, all his skills and everything. So be careful how you pick your generals. Be careful about the model you love the most, and don't try and overprotect them or don't try and overextend them. But put them into a situation where you can actually do whatever you want with them without losing extra VPs. play the scenario. I put my models on the table, you put your models on the table, I smash all of your models, say, hey, I'm winning, but woe and behold, you get 5 of your goblins off the table in Reconnoiter. Game ends, and you win. You see a model that you can destroy, there's Denethor, I race over, I get VPs from that, I kill that, blah blah blah, but unfortunately you've just missed the ball and the boat, which has floated away, both occasions, down the creek and into the sea, far, far away, whilst your opponent has played the scenario and wins. So be careful that you're actually considering the scenario first, rather than destruction of your opponent second. Unless it's Lord of the Battles, of course, or to the death. Be prepared for the unexpected and don't let it throw you. As you progress towards top table, you will find that players will have more knowledge than you and more understanding of synergies. You will see a very, very simple example. You will see Floy on the table and you will look for Legolas, and there's Legolas, and you know straight away that your Undyne is in trouble. You need to get rid of the problem. Sap will on Floy, hope that no enemy hero in the hero is killed on the table, and Floy is willless. That's great. Get rid of Legolas. That's great. You know, but you suddenly you're aware of these things. So what happens when you get to the table and you see Floy and 12 Dwarf Rangers, like Tom Pickard did to me at the start of the GT? That frightened the living daylights out of me. And I had to recover quick. I had to figure out how I could get into the game and yet prevent his 12 archers having 12 shots on the Undyne and the Undyne having no way of saving any of them. Okay? Not as potentially powerful as Legolas, who is only just 1 shot mightable, but 12 shots, it only takes 1. So, one of the key bugbears I had was that I used to have favourite dice, and I played Devon on a number of occasions, and I mentored Devon as well, and in the process Devon highlighted that this was an issue I had. So at a tournament he actually said, I'm not happy with your dice, I'm going to call a TO to get new dice in. Now Devon admitted there's nothing wrong with my dice, but it was something that he could actually use that would mentally throw me. Now that's not a bad thing, it was actually a very, very good thing, because he did it as a humour and he didn't actually call it TO. But it was to highlight, Dave, you're in a tournament and I can still rattle you if I wish to. So these were the unexpected things that I needed to get over. Another unexpected thing that he's thrown at me is that historically I've hated wood elves in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, where they were able to constantly move and shoot and just do a lot of stuff and get away with a lot of stuff, and became a frustrating game. And castling, to me, in SPG has also been frustrating. So he castled on me, and I have to try and work through these. How do I get past these aspects that throw me? If you let yourself be thrown, then what happens is you're going to lose out on potential stuff. So you need to find a way to get past all of these aspects. I'm not saying the top 10 table players look for all the minor flaws, characters and stuff within you. I'm just saying that if you go into a scenario like I did with Tim Hickson at Deadliest Heroes Round 2, and you have a belief that will say that Dwimmelake only does a certain thing, but the reality is everybody else is stating that Dwimmelake does something else, and it catches you. If you're not prepared for that, it can throw you. It can throw you into conceding, like what happened. But if you're prepared for the unexpected and take a deep breath and go, okay, let's move through here, then that is a fantastic way to help you progress. Never let your head drop. I have seen countless players let their head drop. I've actually done it myself in the past, and I have had to learn by it. If you let your head drop, in that moment, you are doing a number of things. One, you're disrespecting your opponent who has taken the time and effort to play the game with you. Okay? They may well be winning and smashing you. It's not their fault that they've outplayed you. It's not their fault that their army in this scenario has outclassed you. though that's quite rare. Well, it's not rare, but it's rarer than most other games for SPG to have one army outclass another. It's mostly scenario based anyway. But if you let your head down, the key thing that you're doing is not only disrespecting your opponent, and in a sense disrespecting yourself. You are losing. You're not losing the game. Forget the game. The game may well already be gone, but you are losing the option to learn, the chance to learn. So, you're losing. It's game over practically. You want to throw in the towel. Well, why don't you take that model, your Danon Boar, and do something that you'd never have done with him before? Why? Well, you're losing anyway. So experiment, learn, find out what's going on with this model, and you could actually learn more about it. Learn more about your opponent's army. Take this on board. Keep that smile. That smile is most important. Yes, sure, you've lost podium. Sure, you've lost a chance to beat this person who you've always wanted to play against or whatever. Sure, you're playing for another hour and a half, another hour, or another half an hour. But for the love of God, play. It's a game. But to be a top 10 player, you have to play, to learn, to come away from that game with some learning. Because if you don't, you're going to the next game not learning. You won't have picked up key skills. And this is why you learn by losing. Losing is not wrong. Losing is not bad. Losing happens to everybody. It's how you manage that loss. You drop your head, you cannot be a top 10 player. Because what you're looking for is you're looking for the perfect moment, the perfect time, the perfect dice roll. And if it suddenly goes askew, you drop your head. Now let me give you an example. Jamie Giblin, Sam Jeffrey, Warhammer GT, February 2017. Both of them smashed me. Both of them practically outplayed me. Most definitely Sam Jeffrey. And both of them had the game won without an ounce of doubt in anyone's mind. But I didn't let my head drop. I felt it. I felt it coming. I felt my head drooping a little. I pulled it back up. I said to myself, well, let's just have a good game anyway. I'm happy for these guys because they're beating me. Well, Jamie Giblin, I managed to pull around a model that I had sent just off on a merry chase on his own, cavalry model, came in, did his business, actually took a point on whole ground. My army had progressed further over the points, so though I was losing my army quickly, my bodyguards were moving backwards, slowly, still maintaining that grip on the whole ground objective. And Jamie just killed me too quickly. And the game ended with Jamie, with his most powerful pieces getting closer. One of them, I believe it was the Shadow Lord or something, was in the middle, was getting the VPs. But when the count-up came, I just had enough VPs to scrape that win. Sam Jeffrey killed my whole army by one model. I happened to have the prize. I won by that. Again, my head nearly had dropped, but I kept it up. And in the process, I learned. But by a miracle, I managed to pull it back as well. Perhaps not the best example. Perhaps it would have been a better example if I had lost both games. But the key thing is my head nearly dropped, but I kept it up. And I kept giving a good game to my opponents and learning in the process. And I learned how amazing Bodyguard is. I learned how to manipulate the Bodyguard rule to allow my models to stay on the table, to not get broken and not disappear en masse. So, I hope that helps. How I self-train. Wow. Self-train. Now, I live in a part of the UK that isn't central to everybody else. Well, it's central to a lot of people, as in I can drive around anywhere and meet people, but we're looking at a bit of a distance, and predominantly most of the games I can get are in Nottingham. And Nottingham is 2 hours away, 2.5 hours, 2.25 hours away. So it's not something that I go to every single day. most definitely maybe once every couple of months. So I need to keep my skill level up. I need to be able to outplay my opponents. I need to be able to put model on the table, have read the scenario, understand the scenario, and see things that my opponent will not see. Pull out synergies that my opponents will not expect, and possibly even do a few things that my opponents will not expect, or think that, ooh, why are you doing that? Because I can disrupt their thought process by moving some of my models in different directions than what my opponent expects. So, how do I self-train? Well, I play Sudoku. I play Sudoku because it makes me think logically and it helps me to see connections. Personally, I'm looking for patterns. There's 9 numbers on a line. There's 9 boxes with a maximum 9 numbers in each box. Hence, numbers cannot be duplicated on both lines or boxes. So, I'm looking for mathematically placing things. It's not like adding up constantly. It's more a case of being aware of where things can go and looking for lines. And it warms my mind up, gets me thinking, gets me ready. I play Spot the Difference. I'm sure you can see the only difference in this one is that Cumber Blake has basically left his costume off in one. But it's just a good example of being able to look at a picture and see where some differences are. Okay, it allows me to rapidly spot the irregularities. Now that's important because this time I'm putting a bit of speed in. I see differences emerge as I scan the page. So as I'm scanning a table, I can see where things can move, where things aren't in base-to-base contact, where things are. I can see potential weaknesses from symmetries or lack of symmetries. I can potentially see where my opponent is going and perhaps manipulate their motion of each of their troops by moving certain of my models. So it's like I'm pulling the strings here, but it gives me a chance to see things quite quickly. I begin to see things other people can't, as I said, quite quickly, and I can avail of that. I can advance to much higher levels where there are no parameters set out. So on this, it's not just one thing different with the picture. I can go on to multiple differences. Now in this picture there is just a barrage of different items that could be different, could be changed, and the changes are small, tiny and subtle. And though I've only spent a few moments looking at this, I've already picked out a few. So if you take a look at the plane up on the top left, beneath it is a red butterfly. That is blue butterfly in the other one. If you come slightly across the page to where you have one of these things hanging from the roof with stars and planets, you'll see there's a green planet missing. Then if you drop down to the lampshade on the far right near the window, you can see the ace of hearts rather than the 4 of hearts. I believe it's hearts anyway. And then there's another 1 or 2 spotted around the place. I won't go into too much detail, but what's achieved here is looking at things quickly and seeing where differences lie and seeing where irregularities lie, should I say. So quite a lot of bits and pieces there. Now, another thing is I play chess. And you may ask, you play chess? Well, why don't you play games then if you play chess? Oh, right. You don't have enough people around you. And I go, yeah, I don't. It's a distance to get to anyone who plays games as such. So, I play on the computer. No. Worse than that. I am a sad git. I play against myself. My goodness, you play against yourself? How do you do that? Well, basically, I sit down in position and I'll move a pawn out. I'll quickly move another pawn out. I'll see position to move a queen out. I'm starting 3-move checkmate. Immediately I know that I'm using 3-move checkmate, so I then move the knight out the other side to prevent 3-move checkmate. So now I have to do an alternative move on this side, an alternative move on that side. I move very quickly. I move actually without thinking. I'm reacting to my reactions, which are reactions upon my reactions. That's a mouthful. I'm reacting to my reactions, which are reactions of my reactions. Okay, and what does that help me do? That really gets my mind spinning. That makes it move quicker and quicker and quicker. But most importantly, I can see problems arising, so how to solve them. Re-evaluate that and set out another attack. Set out a defensive attack, that's now a defensive attack, and I'm just doing constant things. And it sounds really strange, But it is an amazing thing to get the mind retuned and refined, ready. But why do I do these three things? I do these three things because they begin to hurt my mind positively. I'm starting to use my brain. I may be kind of getting tired and frustrated after a while, but if I maintain this on a regular basis, I'm building one thing: stamina. And that, to me, is the most important thing about any tournament. Any top table tournament player must have stamina. A better player can be beaten on the fifth table because they're tired. They've had too much happening on previous games and they need a break. But you have the stamina to not make the mistakes. You have the stamina to see their mistakes and to benefit from them. It's the stamina that allows us top 10 players to maintain a top 10 existence. And that stamina is gotten through one of two things. One, regularly attend tournaments. Two, do the little games that I mentioned: Sudoku, Spot the Difference, chess, and go through old Warhammer bat reps in both YouTube but in White Dwarfs and see the movement, try and predict where things can go, and that will get you guys ready to be a top 10 player. Now, I hope you enjoyed that little seminar. I hope it comes across okay. I hope my speech, which is quite lacking at the moment because I think I've been doing a lot of talking recently, I hope it's all coming across, as I said, fine, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, from me, Dave, from Dwellers in the Dark, I look forward to seeing you again soon. I will try and bring out more videos, may even do an expansion on this seminar if it's requested, but I think the next lot of videos you'll be seeing will be predominantly aimed towards the ETC, which is going to be Wales 2018, and really, really looking forward to that. So, from me, from Dwellers in the Dark, cheerio, see you soon. Bye for now.